Hi there, and welcome to the very first pep talk on the Pepper channel. My name's Andre, and I'm hoping to share a few valuable gems, moments with you, and especially maybe help or motivate or be there for a few people as such. What I'd like to do is find out if you would like this as a live show. I'd really like to make it live. Maybe when you'd like to have it live, give me a day, give me a time, and we can take a look from there and see when this will work out and if it works out for you as such. I just want to point out that this is not a medical show. I am not a practitioner of any form of medicine or psychiatry or psychology or anything to that effect. It's merely motivation, sticking around and being there for you and sharing experiences as we go along. Now, in life, there are times that stress us out. There are times when we are anxious, and there are times when we're feeling really, really down and depressed. And you know what? Life just wants to sort of grab us by the throat and thrash us to the ground as such. And especially for men, and although I do not limit the show to a lady or a man, I just find that there are very, very few of these shows that actually come out for men as such. And it becomes a more of an embarrassing moment for a man to have to express their feelings or admit that things affect them, life affects them, situations affect them, the surroundings affect you, society affects you, people affect you, and sometimes handling that is difficult. Now, definitely there are self-help books, and there are self-help videos, and there are self-help tapes and motivational videos and motivational tapes and everything. You could absolutely kill yourself with these things. And I'm the first person to tell you that none of this is going to help you. Yes, none is going to help you totally. So what am I saying? Don't listen to self-help. Don't listen to videos. Don't listen to tapes. Don't read books. No, I'm not saying that at all. In actual fact, I'm saying do read as many as you can. Do watch as many as you can. Listen to as much as what you can. But the bottom line is, even what I am saying, is not going to help you totally, is not going to motivate you totally, is not going to give you everything precise, because everything that is done, any motivational video, any motivational tape, any motivational book, is based on the person's experience or the person's presumption or assumption of how something goes, how it affects you, and how you should react to it. And as much as what we're going to give you, or I'm going to give you reactions or anything to that effect, it might not be the same way as what you get to react to it or how it affects you. So what's very important when you're watching a self-help or motivational or helping video or anything like that, or listening to or reading the book or anything, it would be very, very important that you take out the parts of that book or video or cassette, listen to me giving away my age, or sound clip, whatever. Take out the parts that work for you and put them together. You really, really need to know that they can help you, but there is no cookie cutter. Well, you know what? This one's a star, that one's a square. Yeah, the cross works for you. And it's not like that. Sometimes we have pretty difficult or different shapes according to what comes around. So what I want him to say is, take it, do by all means, but you've got to learn to make it your own. You've got to learn to take out what is going to help you and to customize it to fit your life, to fit your expectation. The first thing that I actually want to come across, and hopefully I'm going to make quite a few of these videos, so I'm going to deal with little bits of experience myself because they affect me. I am one of the few, or one of the many, should I say, that has a little bit of anxiety, that runs through depression, that takes a lot of pace in life, that has high expectations, that puts a lot of expectations on themselves as such. And every day you wake up and it's a battle to get through the day. Now, how you get through the day is decisions. You'll hear me speak about decisions quite a lot. And decisions are really, really important in our lives because we live our lives by decisions. Every morning, you start your day with a decision, and that's deciding to get up. whether you get up at 5 o'clock in the morning, 4 o'clock in the morning, 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock, 10 o'clock, it is based on your decision because you have decided to get out of bed at that time. So if you're lying in bed, not feeling well, not feeling happy, feeling down, feeling depressed, it's because you have decided to stay in bed. So you start every morning with a decision to open your eyes, to wake up, and to get out of bed. And that decision is yours and yours personally. No one can say to you, well, you've got to get up at 4 o'clock, son. This isn't going to work if you don't get up at 4 o'clock. You know what? If 6 o'clock suits you, then 6 o'clock suits you. It's how you get up. It's how you make the decision and how you accept responsibility for that decision. But first of all, you've got to sit and work with the 3 A's. 3 A's. And it's not Automobile Association of America, and it's not the AA, Alcoholics Anonymous, or anything like that. Although sometimes I know it feels like driving you to alcohol, because as they said, a drink has never helped anybody in their lives before, but then again, nor has coffee. But we're not going down that road now, are we? Okay, so we're working with the 3 A's. And the first A is to acknowledge. Acknowledge that you have a condition, a situation, a case, a illness, whatever you want to label it as, up to you. Label it as what you want to. But you need to acknowledge, I have this. Now, when I say that, first of all, I don't want you to go and look for something now. You know what? If you're a little bit anxious, but you don't suffer depression, you don't suffer stress or anything to that effect, don't go and look for it. That's the biggest problem that I find is you like this, you feel like this, and eventually you're looking, you're going, yeah, I do feel like that sometimes. Oh, yeah, and I do. Oh, my Lord, I am broken. No, don't go and look for it. You know, it's like sitting in church and the minister says, well, you know what, if you feel you have been a sinner this week, don't worry, just look at me. Nobody else is looking around. Look at me. And then he pauses for a while and he goes, I see you. Okay, there's more people. I know, I can feel it. There's more people. Just look at me. And you think, oh, crumbs. And he goes, don't worry, I know, you can just look at me. And eventually you're going, oh, it must be me. I'm going to have to look at him because it was me. I think I did sin this week so much so that I need to go and, you know what, don't go and find it. If you don't feel it in your heart and you don't feel it in your mind, but you've got to be honest with yourself. Acknowledge what you have. You know, if it's depression and non-anxiety, then it's depression. If it's anger issues, if it's frustration, if it is stress, if it is struggling to cope, if it is confidence, whatever, that's fine. But only take what you can suddenly think off the top of your head, that affects me. Okay? Don't go, well, you know what, now that you mention it, it could be this, it could be that. You know, it's also okay to pick it up along the way and go, you know, this has led into that, so maybe I should work on this a little bit more. But don't try and fill your wheelbarrow. Take what you know. So first of all, it is acknowledge. Acknowledge, hey, you know what? Yeah, I suffer anxiety. Hey, yeah, I suffer depression. Or no, you know what? I have a bit of depression, but I don't struggle with anxiety or stress or confidence or et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. You know what? The biggest people with depression have got the biggest smile on their face usually. And that doesn't mean that everything's okay. But it doesn't mean everything's wrong either. It doesn't mean it's wrong when you're quiet. It doesn't mean it's wrong if you are not the most popular person in the room. It doesn't mean you're suffering confidence issues. It just possibly means that you don't feel like speaking. And that's okay too. But the bottom line is to acknowledge and acknowledge correctly. A lot of these books and videos and everything keep on wanting to say to you, well, you like this and you like that. And you're eventually going, oh, yeah, no, oh, I'm a mess. I am trash. I am just falling apart. No. Be honest with yourself. Acknowledge what affects you, and don't try and fill up the wheelbarrow. If it does, so be it. But don't feel that you've got to go looking for something to fill up your wheelbarrow with. So the first A is to acknowledge. Acknowledge, I have a situation, a condition, an illness, something that affects me. Whichever you feel comfortable calling it, doesn't matter. I have anxiety. My name's Andre, and I have anxiety. Okay? It works. Then, next thing, accept it. Our biggest problem is not accepting. We want to acknowledge it. Okay, I've got it. Now let's get over it. Accept. Make peace with it. It's the first step to actually making peace, to actually working towards dealing with it, is accepting it. So, it doesn't help knowing something, but not accepting something. It's like swimming in the sea and they say the tide is going to pull you out. You acknowledge the fact that the tide is coming in. You acknowledge the fact that the tide is going to pull you out, but you don't accept it. That's it. You know what? The tide's coming in. It's going to pull me out, but I'll swim outside behind the breakers. Not cool. That's a stupid decision. You're not finding peace. You are going to end up swimming against a stressful current, apart from the fact that you're going to end up with a lifesaver having to come and fetch you, which means how should I say, stressful terms, you will have a nervous breakdown or end up in hospital. Anxiousness, anger creates depression, creates a breakdown, which will throw you in hospital faster than what you can say, Jack Robinson. And I'm sorry to say, and I'm not embarrassed to say, it happened to me as well. And probably the best thing that could have happened to me, because it taught me that I need to acknowledge and accept what I have. As soon as I can accept, it's already that, you know what, it's not so bad. Accepting what you have, because there are many people that have different conditions, situations, illnesses, whatever you want to call it. But if you have diabetes, you live with diabetes. First of all, to be able to treat it, to be able to repair diabetes, you need to accept that you have diabetes. And only once you can admit that you have diabetes, you've got to accept that you have it. I'm not saying that you can't get cured from it. I'm just saying at the time and moment that you have acknowledged that you have it, you need to accept that you have it, so that you can at least make peace in that point. If you haven't made peace at the beginning, you're not going to be able to put them pieces together in the end. And that's a problem. So you need to acknowledge and say, right, this is what I have, and acknowledge honestly. Don't go and find things. Don't go and fetch a spanner behind the bush because you think you need to have it. Oh, well, you know what? I'm not well enough. I'm not sick enough if I don't have this, this, and this. I'm not victim enough, because nobody's a victim, by the way. So you acknowledging honestly the right thing, not everything, the right thing. And if there are quite a few things, so be it, that's fine. But all I want you not to do is put pressure on yourself to acknowledge something that isn't there because you feel pressurized to do so. The second is accepting it, making peace with the fact that you've got it so that you can deal with it. Because when you are fighting something, I acknowledge it, but I don't want to accept it. So when you're fighting it, you're so busy fighting a situation, condition, illness, whatever that you have, that you are not putting enough energy or not leaving any form of energy or not moving in the direction of being able to navigate, overcome, control, cope with a situation. So your first one is accept it. And please, guys, I'm saying accept it honestly. Second is to, acknowledge and acknowledge honestly. Second is to accept so that you can make peace, so that we can move on. Because number three, action. Number three is action. We need to action. So if we acknowledge that there is a situation in our lives, if we accept that situation, we can action that situation. And this is what I'm hoping to work through with a couple more of these videos. And if you like them as content videos, please like the videos. Please subscribe to Pepper's Echo. You don't need to be subscribing to the political version of it. There is one called the NA discussion, but remember, this is Pep Talk. And subscribe and like this video. And leave in the comments if you would like to see, or drop me an email at Pepper's Echo, PEPRS at gmail.com. Not the E, not the R. PEPRS, not a double P, single P, and leaving out the E. And let me know, you know what, I like it, or I want to discuss this, or can we look at something like this, or walk down this path. I've had many experiences. My experiences often are not as bad as what many people have had. Some people have had horrific experiences. Some people have had it in a terrible degree. I have been very, very fortunate only to have gone down a very dark path once before. And it has, I think, probably not been on the Richter scale as high as what someone have experienced it. But my bottom line is that it still has been experienced. And it is important that I deal with it. So please, guys, if it's light and it's not heavy, that's okay. You still need to deal with it. It's still a situation that you want to deal with. So we need to start actioning it. And the action will be, number one, not putting it off. I've had anxiety about doing this video because I've had a lot of thoughts fly through my head. What will people say? Will they think less of me? Will I come out looking like a weaker person? Will it be a laughing stock? Will it be the comedy show? Or will they take me seriously? Am I wasting my breath? Should I rather just quietly sit in a corner and apply this to myself and hopefully they'll go by? And I actually put out the intro for this video about 3 weeks ago. And every evening I come home and I say, well, we've got to do this video. We've got to do this video. And the problem sometimes with anxiety, with a depressive person, with an anxious person, with a person that puts a lot of expectation on themselves. And that's what you do. If you're an anxious person, you put an enormous amount of pressure and expectation on yourself with zero tolerance for failure. And I would sit there and, you know what, if I cannot think that this is going to go A to Z 100%, I'm not going to do it. And that's the next problem. Nothing goes A to Z 100%. It's called life. And the sooner we learn to accept it, the better. So with starting to action, we need to learn not to put off. You know, I'll start in the new year. I'll start on Monday. It's not gym. It's not exercise. It's not a New Year's resolution. It's for you. And even if you decide to start today and you just make a decision. And that is one of the things that I've got from some of my books that I've read. There's many different books that I've read. There's many different videos that I've watched, and there's many different people. And I've taken these little pieces of advice and sort of woven them together to customize them for myself. And it's very important, once again, I reiterate heavily, that you customize this for yourself, that you find what works for you in everything together. So action. So first of all, we acknowledge. And acknowledge honestly. Don't go fetch the spanner behind the bush. And if it ends up more than what you expected, so be it. Number two, excuse me. Number two would be to accept. We need to accept this because you need to make peace and not fight the situation, the illness, the surrounding that you're in. And number three, if we have acknowledged, accepted, we need to action. And we need to stop putting off. How are we going to do that? Because we could, oh, well, you know what, it's not going to work out perfect. What will people say? My wife will think I'm a weaker person. My mom and dad will think I'm a weaker person. My kids will think I'm a washout or a failure. Guys, this is something that you do for yourself that is going to probably result in far better results in the long run when you do get to dealing with things for your wife, for your children, with other people, for yourself, making a success. So first of all, stop worrying about what other people think. That is the biggest fault, I think, that we all end up with. And I fight it daily. So it's not It's not a Dalai Lama masterclass. This is just basically a supportive motivation group thing together. And I'm hoping to get a group of people together who can share their ideas, who can share their experiences. When we go live, I can take up to 10 guests on the live show with me at a time. And we can share these experiences and we can relate. And the most important thing that I found is something that an ex-boss of mine, Andreas Averbos, said to me one day. He said, you know what, you're now a manager. And I said, yeah. He says, you know, you can phone me for anything. He's my regional manager. He says, but do me one favor. He says, please, at least phone me with a solution. It might not be the right solution, but at least gives me the confidence to know that you've thought about it, that you've tried to solve it. You know, so when you phone yourself for a decision, at least phone yourself with a solution. You know, stop flogging yourself, stop blaming yourself, stop avoiding because of something that might happen, that might not even happen, that's what somebody might think. And sometimes they might look at you differently, but they might look at you differently for different reasons. Whereas you would think they're looking down on you, they might be looking up to you. Whereas you think they are pushing you away or frowning upon you, they might be looking at you in a sense of, I wish I had the guts to do what that person is doing. There are so many different objects, paradigms in which we could take a look at it. But the problem is we start thinking about those paradigms and we start putting off what we need to do because we're not phoning ourselves with a solution. And Dave Evans once said to me, he said, and I don't know if I'll ever see you, if he's still around, oldest chap that I saw, 1996, 97. And he once said to me, Andre, said, you know, there are decisions to be made in life, and it's important that you make them. He says, and you've got to go ahead and make those decisions. And if you find that you have made the wrong decision, it is very, very important that you don't regret the decision that you made. You just make another one. Something I fight with daily as well. Why did you do that? How come you did it? If only you'd done this. Why not? How come? Whatever. Instead of taking that energy and making a new decision. Life is built on decisions. And we can't get anywhere. We can't go anywhere. You can't get out of that depressive hole, that anxious state, that angry person, that person that doesn't walk around confidently, the person who can't speak, the person that's afraid of people, that's afraid of talking, that's afraid of what people think. You're not going to get out of that if you don't make a decision. And if you keep on putting it off, you are going to remain in that depressive, anxious, angry, non-confident state that you are so wanting to get out of. You need to make a decision with a solution for yourself, and you need to make it with a peaceful heart that if you have made the wrong decision, that you will be able to make another one. That's the nice thing about this life. We are afforded many decisions. It's not like Aladdin and his lamp. You have 3 wishes. No, you don't have 3 decisions. You have a lifetime of decisions ahead of you. The only thing that limits the amount of decisions that you can make is the reluctance on your side to make those decisions, because life is short. Doesn't matter how long you live for, it is still short. And your decisions that you make are only limited by the time you put off making them. And somebody once said, and it was also on a cassette, shows my age, said, you know, start with making simple decisions. We want to make things achievable. So the next thing you want to do is make sure you don't put off something. So you've accepted, you've acknowledged, you've accepted, and now you want to action. And you go, well, I am going to change my life. It's cool. It's cool. Change your life. But how do you eat an elephant? Because you're not going to digest that bugger if you just lay into it. and you don't know where to start, so you don't know where to bite, so you put it off. So how do you eat an elephant? 1 teaspoon at a time. 1 teaspoon at a time. Not a tablespoon, a teaspoon. So how do you action? Simple. By making decisions that you can achieve. The phone call that you've been putting off to your friend, to your mom, to your family, to your children, decide to make that phone call and make it. The 10 Rand or $10 that you borrowed from somebody that you're intending to pay back still, pay it back. The dish that has been left that you're intending to give back to your friends, give it back. The round of golf that you've been promising a buddy to go and play with him or her, make the appointment and go. The movie that you have promised to watch with your wife that you've been putting off, do it. Go watch that movie. The dishes that you have promised to wash this evening, wash them. Make something easy, just so that you can actually feel what it feels like to achieve success in your decisions. You don't have to go and tomorrow morning wake up and wonder why I'm not feeling great because I haven't swung my whole life around all of a sudden. You need to make decisions that are achievable. And as you achieve those decisions, you can make them further, take the next step, take the next step, take the next step, take the next step. It's like exercise. When you start exercise and someone says to you, well, son, you need to do 50 repetitions. So do you start off with 50 repetitions? No, because when you do, you start off hectically. I'm going to do 50 repetitions. And then when you get to 10, you find that your chest is burning, your throat is on fire, your ears are watering, your eyes is watering, your nose is running. It is an absolute catastrophe. When you get to 15, you feel like you're bleeding through every orifice in your body, eventually to probably collapse around about 20. Now, I might be using extremes. You might be a very fit person or whatever, but I'm trying to use an example here. You don't get to 50 reps immediately. When you started running, when you started doing any form of exercise, you never got to do the highest rate first. But if you had set yourself the goal and decided to do 10 to start off with, for this week, if I can just do 10, and you know what, next week, I'll do 11. And the week after that, I might get to 13. And I might do 13 for 2 weeks. And after that, I might be able to push it 1 or 2 extra and go to 14 or 15. And after that, I'll be able to hit it up to 18 in a week or two's time. But soon you will find that within 3 months, 2 to 3 months, you're doing 50 comfortably. Because you have made the decision to set the target achievably, you suddenly find that you're achieving the long-range target as you're going. And that's exactly the same thing with dealing with mental health, anxiety, depression, anger, confidence. Build it slowly. Don't go, everyone says, well, throw you in the deep end and you just have to learn to swim. No, you won't. You'll be terrified of getting into that pool again. So basically acknowledging, accepting, and actioning by not putting it off. And how are we not going to put it off? We are not going to put it off by making a decision. And we are going to make a decision that is going to be unsure. But we are going to be sure that we can make another decision. And we're going to set that decision so that we can achieve it. We're going to make achievable decisions. And I want you to write down a list of decisions that you need to make. And so pull out your 500-page pad because you're going to make at least 40 decisions per page. No. Make 5. No more. 5 very, very easy decisions. Whether it's going to give your wife a hug, whether it's telling your kid you love them, whether it's telling your parents you love them, whether it's giving that cup or that dish back, whether it's making that phone call, or honoring that game of tennis, or just giving somebody a smile for a change. Make that decision and write it down. Lists are something important. We'll get to them as well. But we just want to get started. And that's about as far as what I'm wanting to take you today is I want you to make a decision, to realize that it's okay to make a decision, to realize that your decision might not be perfect, but to realize that you have a huge amount, uncountable, infinitive amount of decisions that you may use up. You have a lamp that does not give you 3 wishes. It gives you an uncountable amount of decisions that you can make. And you can make them confidently because you know that if that decision does not work for you, you can make a different one. But go and make those decisions now, not tomorrow, not Monday, not next week, not in the new year. It's not a resolution. It's your life. Acknowledge honestly. Accept so you don't have to fight it. And action it by not putting it off, by making a decision so that you are able to achieve and make those decisions achievable. Make them teaspoons. Sometimes your decision will just be to get out of bed. I know a lady who said, you know what, how do I get out of bed at 6 o'clock or 5 o'clock in the morning? Sorry, I think it was 5 o'clock in the morning. She says, I open my eyes and I give myself 5 seconds to make a decision with. And I found, that puts me under pressure, but I actually found good eventually after that. And I'm not saying you've got to go into 5-second decisions, but it is really great because your decision actually gets made in 5 seconds. I have 5 seconds to make a decision. She says, I can either, within 5 seconds, get up and get out of bed, or I can close my eyes and go carry on sleeping. That's a decision. Whichever way you want to look at it, you've made a decision there. Maybe not willingly, but if you open your eyes and you say, I'm deciding not to get out of bed today, you've made a decision not to get out of bed. And that can be one of your decisions if you want to. You can write down decision number 1 is decide to get up at 6 o'clock. So when that alarm goes off, don't put that hand on that snooze button. Get up and stand up next to your bed. And that's what she said she did. I get up, I stand up next to my bed, and ooh. And when you've been standing next to your bed for about 30 seconds, you're okay to go. But it's making that decision. Decide for yourself today. We're there together. We're in it together. And every single day, I fight these battles. Every single day starts with the 2 wolves inside. And I'd like to finish off this episode, this first episode, with the story of the Indian chief who was telling one of the little Indians a story. And he says that inside you, you have 2 wolves. You have good and you have bad. And they are fighting all the time. They are absolutely gutting each other. They are fighting. They are having a war. And there's a song by Petra called Jekyll and Hyde, if you want to listen to that. But these 2 wolves fight each other consistently. And the little Indian says, but Chief, which wolf wins? The chief looks at him and he smiles and he says, the one you feed. The one you feed. So if you're going to feed good, you will find that good exists. If you want to feel bad, you'll find that bad exists. And we'll talk about focus, and we'll talk about expectations, and we'll talk about, there's so much that we can talk about. And I'm so looking forward to getting emails from you. And I'm so looking forward to reading the comments. And don't forget to like and comment on this as well, because it is a subject that you could feel embarrassed about. So what? You know what? Everybody's going to get over it. And once they realize that you're actually a magic person, you're going to feel so much better. So much better. And you know, even if it is your diabetes, even if it is your asthma, and you need to take an insulin shot, or you need to take an asthma pump every day, or something like that, even if it is that, even if you are on psychologist medicines, and you've got to take a tablet today, that's okay. Because you're a magic person. Acknowledge truthfully, accept, action. Make that decision today, and I'll be back next week. Hopefully, I've had enough emails and a couple of messages back to be able to tell me which day you wanted and if you'd wanted live, and we can start working on that. But otherwise, take care of yourself, cherish yourself, look after yourself. The bottom line being yourself. Take care, be good. If you can't be good, at least be kind. Cheers.